Hello everyone. I wanted to do a special video today, and I've never really done this before in this way. But as a teacher that teaches for Craftsy and Blueprint and has a YouTube channel, now and then I'm sent promotional materials from different paint companies and brush companies and paper companies, and they send me samples of their products to try out to see if I like them. And I'm really happy to do that. It's a wonderful perk of my job. But I always am upfront with them, and I say, you know, if I love them, I'll definitely share them and use them. But I'm also honest with my reviews. And so last week I was sent a set of watercolors from the Golden Paint Company. They make the Golden acrylics, which are very, very popular. And a few years ago, they came out with a line of watercolors, and they're called Qor, and they're spelled Q-O-R. And they sent me a variety of paints. I'm going to show you. So they sent me basically the split primaries with a few variations. And I'm going to show you the paints that they sent. Let's see here. They sent me a nice variety. And so I'm going to go through these different paints and tell you what I think about them. They also sent me their watercolor medium, which is something, I can't remember, I think it's called Aquasol. Let me see. This is the promotional brochure that they sent, which is really lovely, and it has basically every color swatched out with all of the pigment information in it. And it is, I'm trying to see what it's called. Aquasol, yeah. Their binder is called Aquasol, and they make a lot of claims about their paints, that they're a little bit different because of this exclusive binder, that their colors are very bold and intense, and that their colors have better flow, and that their granulating colors are really, really wonderful. And I have to say, I've been using them for about a week now, and I really love them. I really, really love them. They are right, their colors are very bold and intense. They do flow beautifully on the paper, and they mix quite well together. And so I'm just going to go over the colors that they sent me. And they sent me Hansa Yellow Light, which is the same color I use in the Daniel Smith paints. It's PY3. They sent me, and that's a cool yellow. For warm yellow, they sent me Indian Yellow and Quinacridone Gold, both of them very transparent and beautiful. They sent me Transparent Pyrrole Orange, PO71, which is the same pigment number as the Daniel Smith that I use. They sent me, for Cool Red, they sent me Quinacridone Red and Quinacridone Magenta. Quinacridone Red is PV19. Which is the same that I use in the Daniel Smith. And then Quinacridone Magenta, they use a PR122. They also sent me two warm blues. They sent me the Ultramarine Blue Violet and Ultramarine Blue. So the Ultramarine Blue Violet is a bit warmer, leans more toward violet, and Ultramarine Blue is like the standard ultramarine that I use. It's PB29. Ultramarine Violet is PV15 and PB29. So it's a compound pigment. And quite honestly, it's a beautiful color, but I would definitely stick with the Ultramarine Blue. And then they sent me their Phthalo Blue Green shade, which is PB15.3, and exactly the same as the one I use from Daniel Smith. So the tubes are beautiful. They come, these are 11 milliliters, so they're a little bit smaller than the Daniel Smith. The price is comparable. So actually they're a little bit pricier than the Daniel Smith paints. Now, and they also sent me a container of the watercolor medium. And what I've been doing, and what I do often, is I put 5 drops in my canning jar full of water. And so I put five drops in a jar like this. And I do that often with watercolor medium because I really like the way it improves the glossiness and flow of my paints. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to swatch out the colors and show you the difference between my Daniel Smith colors and then the Qor, Golden Qor watercolors. So I'm going to start with the PY3 or the Hansa Yellow Light. And as you can see, it's very, very bright and clear. If I put just a little bit of a water glaze down on my paper and drop the pigment in at the top, I can see the flow of the paint, and it immediately goes down to the bottom here and tints. So it's a very, very active and flowy paint, okay? Now, my Daniel Smith PY3 or Hansa Yellow Light is also very vibrant. And if I put a little bit at the top of this, you see how it doesn't flow quite as much. Okay, so these paints are really active. They're really, really active. I love that about them. For the warm yellows, they sent me two. One of them is Indian Yellow, which is the one I really like, okay? The quinacridone gold is gorgeous and I will definitely use it, but it's not, it's really not appropriate for what I need. So if I put a water glaze down and add some of my Indian Yellow, again, the paint flows really beautifully. And if I put down some water and I use the New Gamboge from Daniel Smith, which is my warm yellow from Daniel Smith, it also flows very nicely. Now, the one thing I will say is the New Gamboge and the Daniel Smith is a more vibrant color. So I'm going to look at their color chart and see if they offer something that's similar. And what I found out is they really don't. So they have a Dairy Lied Yellow, which is PY83, and the Indian Yellow here is PY154, PY150, and PR206. So it is a compound pigment. It's beautiful. It's very transparent, even though it's a compound pigment, but it's not quite as vibrant as the Daniel Smith Yellow. Still, I think it will be fine. I'm uncertain about that. So I'd like to try a couple of their other colors. I'd like to try this Dairy Lied Yellow. Even though it's semi-transparent, I think it might be a better fit for what I do. So that's my warm yellow. Now, for the warm red, they sent me their transparent Pyrrole Orange, which is PY73. Sorry about that. Someone was knocking at my door. It was a contractor looking at something outside. Anyway, so where was I? So we just talked about the warm yellows, and I was going to show you the warm red that they sent, which is PO71 transparent Pyrrole Orange. And if I swatch that out, it's a gorgeous color, very transparent and beautiful. But let me show you the difference between this is the Daniel Smith. So do you see how much more red that is? This makes a big difference for the split primaries, okay? So I looked on the color chart and I really did not find a good substitution. Permanent Scarlet may work. I'm gonna ask them to send me some of that. But really, their warm red is Pyrrole Red Light or Cadmium Red Light, which I won't use, Quinacridone Red Light. I'll try some of those. I just have never found something that is as good for a warm red as the Daniel Smith PO71 Transparent Pyrrole Orange. So that's an issue for me. And we'll see, I mean, if I get the samples of the other colors, how they work out. But this color is gorgeous, and it, again, if I put just some clear water down and drop a little bit on the top, it has a beautiful flow. Okay, very, very transparent and vibrant. So again, I'm comparing it to colors that I use for my split primary palette for mixing, okay, for a core mixing palette. This does not necessarily mean I wouldn't use these paints as a mixing palette, but I'm just showing you the difference between the two. Okay, and then next for the cool red, they sent me two. They sent me PV19, which they call Quinacridone Red. Gorgeous, gorgeous color. And they also sent me the quinacridone magenta, which is a little bit more vibrant and magenta and might be really wonderful in a mixing palette. So let me show you the quinacridone pink or rose from Daniel Smith. So it's not quite as rich and vibrant, but it's very similar to these colors. So I think that for the cool red, we'd be just fine. But look at the flow of this paint. It's just stunning, really stunning. And then let me show you the Daniel Smith. Totally different, okay, as far as flow in the paint. So the Aquazol binder is very, very special to make paints flow. There's something really wonderful about it. So for the warm blue, I've got the French Ultramarine from Qor. I'm not even going to show you the Ultramarine Blue Violet because I just wouldn't use it. Look at that gorgeous Ultramarine blue. And then if I put some water, oops, not good. The brush wasn't clean, guys. So if I use just some clear water and I swatch the ultramarine blue at the top, look at the flow. That is what's so special about these paints. I'll show you the Daniel Smith. See the difference? So if you were someone who really loves active flow in paints, you're going to love these paints by Golden, the Golden Qor Watercolors. So again, even this, their ultramarine is even a little bit more vibrant than the Daniel Smith. I really, really like it. And then for the cool blue, it's a standard phthalo blue-green shade. Really, really gorgeous, strong pigment. And then if I use some of the clear water to see the flow, instant flow. And then as a comparison, whoops, this is some of the Daniel Smith. Okay, so you can see the difference as far as flow. As far as colors go, I have a couple issues. The warm yellow could be more vibrant to me, so I'm going to try one of their other colors. And the warm red, while gorgeous, is not quite as red as the Daniel Smith. All right, but otherwise, this palette, these paints are just fantastic. So I'm going to show you one of my main tests that I do to test a warm red for my mixing palette. And what I tend to do is take cool blue, okay, that's the Qor watercolor, and then the warm red in equal amounts, and see what I get. And I get a nice golden brown. Now, if I add a little bit more cool blue to it, do I get gray or black? It's a little bit on the green side. And the reason why is because their version of transparent pyrrole orange is definitely more on the yellow side. Okay, so let me show you the difference with the Daniel Smith colors. So this is the cool blue. And then I'm adding to it equal amounts of the transparent pyrrole red. And look at this really beautiful deep black I get just instantly I get it. And then if I add more to it, more of the warm red from Daniel Smith, I get a really rich brown. So these are really useful colors to me when I'm painting. And they're so instant that's why I love that transparent pyrrole orange from Daniel Smith so much, because I get these instant colors, okay? It's a little bit different with the Qor. Colors are still beautiful. If I test the flow of those mixes, put some paint down, grab that mix and just touch it here. The paint really flows. If I do the same with the Daniel Smith, I don't get that flow, okay? So it just depends on what you like. You know, it just depends on if you're a person who really loves that activeness in your paint. I do. I do a lot of things where I'm using clear washes and dropping color in, and I want those paints to mix and mingle. However, let's think of one other scenario here. So I'm going to use the back of this paper. Let's say that I'm painting something like a leaf, okay? And I'm just going to put a water glaze down like I would. Sorry, my paint water's starting to get a little bit dirty, but that won't affect it. That won't affect the test. So I'm putting a water glaze down. And often when I paint botanicals and things like that, I put a water glaze down first and I drop color in. So if I'm using the Qor and I start to drop color in, I'm going to get this beautiful flow. Okay? I really don't have to do anything to coax it around, but I can still take a clean damp brush and lift color out where I don't want it to go. All right? If I'm doing the same thing with the Daniel Smith, which I do all the time, because I use these paints a lot, get my water glaze down. I have to work a lot harder to get that paint to flow. All right, so this is, you know, it's possible, and I've done it for a long time, but it's not like I have to actually work at it, you know, and I have to clean up my edges more and things like that. It doesn't have the same kind of flow properties. Okay, now what happens if I put some of the Aquazal into the Daniel Smith paints? Hair in there, one of my hairs, and mix it in. I'm going to add a little bit more paint to this. Okay, so I added some of the golden binder to my Daniel Smith paints, and I do the same test. I put a water glaze down. And then use this paint to drop in. I do get improved flow. It's not quite as active as the golden paints, but it's definitely an improvement. Okay, so that's another option. You can use the watercolor medium from Qor with other paints to improve their flow and viscosity on the paper. So that's really the clincher for me. The colors are absolutely gorgeous and vibrant. I have no issues at all with that claim. I mean, they are truly vibrant and clear. They flow really beautifully. They lift really beautifully. Everything about them is gorgeous. I just love them. Again, my only hang-ups with these would be the warm yellow and the warm red. But hopefully, by trying some of their other paints, I'm going to find a substitution for those. So basically, Daniel Smith paints are fine paints, and I love them, and I've used them for a long time, and I'll continue to use them. But I'm also going to start using these and see how my paintings go. I love these clear, vibrant colors. I love the way they flow. So I'm really happy with the Golden Qor paints. And if you write to them, they would probably send you one of these color charts, which is a really handy thing to see their range, which is quite impressive for a new paint company. A lot of single pigment paints, a lot of transparent paints, gorgeous earth colors, and also 3 metallics. They've got silver, pearl, and gold. So I'm really, really happy with them. They have many, many mediums to try, from oxgal to watercolor medium to a lifting medium and a masking fluid. And they also have some watercolor grounds and things like that, just like Daniel Smith has. So again, Qor Watercolours by Golden Artist Colors. And they do have a website. I believe, if it's on here, I don't see their, but if you Google searched for Qor, Q-O-R Watercolors, it would take you to their website. There's quite a bit of information there too. So I hope this was helpful. I just wanted to introduce these paints to you and let you know my thoughts. I'm looking back here, at my swatches, and they really do dry beautifully and have beautiful separation. Look at the flow difference between this one and this one. This really filled the area. This one just kind of stuck. So that's something to consider. If you love really active paints, these paints might be great for you. All right, hope y'all are having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week with a new video. Bye-bye.